So I want to put some facts on um how can I put it, an argument which kind of gets a lot of, it's a controversial subject. Um Basically, was Paul Sykes a sex offender? Right. So I'm going to tell you. I'm going to before I start. Listen, I did 3 books on Paul Sykes, but I have no emotional ties. I didn't know him. I've never met him. Um, he wasn't a very nice man. Let's be honest. Was he interesting? Absolutely. He was great. He was a great subject to study. But I don't have any emotional ties. He's no different to so many other subjects I've studied. Your Lee Duffys, Dominic Negas's, your Roy Shaws, your Jack the Rippers. Many books I've done. Released 22. I've got another 4 finished. Started on a 5th. So it's just work to me. I have no emotional interest. Doesn't affect my life one way or the other. So the picture you see is me and a guy called Phil Wheatley. So Phil Wheatley was also, so he was the Director General of prisons in England, or maybe Great Britain. And he was also the Hull Governor. So I interviewed him in 2015. And I put the interview in my very first book I ever did, Sykes Unfinished Agony. I interviewed the Chief of West Yorkshire Police a couple of years ago. I put that in the book, Sykes Final Agony, and I asked him all of, I went in prison myself to visit Paul Sykes Jr. So Paul Sykes Jr. said to me, he said, listen, if our dad was here now, he would openly admit he was gay for the stay. He was, a homosexual, indulged in homosexual activity inside prison. That's just, he was quite open about it. The stories of putting page threes on the back. I actually put that out in the public domain because John Spenceley told me. John, sadly no longer with us, died about a month back. Lovely man. And Paul openly said to him, he said, but was it rape? So basically Phil Wheatley said to me, I knew Paul for the best part of 20 years. And nothing was ever, was he gay? Yeah. Was he bisexual? Yeah, absolutely. But I know there's a certain someone making kind of all lies up on the back of jealousy and envy because it's a film, and obviously anything I do, he tries to sabotage. And he basically makes all kinds of lies up and it gets huge reviews as well. But I put that to Phil Wheatley. I was with him 2.5 months ago. And he said, I never heard of it. I never, what people did behind the closed doors or whatever, consensual. Yeah, and as I asked the Chief of West Yorkshire Police, and so he had access to Sykes's criminal record, and it was a mighty impressive record, I might add. So many charges and convictions and allegations and all that, and he said, so this guy knew him when he was, probably at his most scariest, and he'd have to send half a shift to Wood Street Nick to go get him. And he also knew him when a gush of wind would have blew him over, and he was a frail old man who was a shell of who he once upon a time was. And he said to me, I despised the man. Our officers, a lot of them were happy when he died, and a lot of people couldn't believe it. It was like the bogeyman dying, didn't think he could be killed. He said, I didn't like him, nasty piece of work. And I asked him about the sex offences and all that, and there was never any allegations. So that's from the Chief of West Yorkshire Police. and it's also from um, the General Director of Prison Services in Britain and Hull Governor. So I've spoke to them. Obviously, I've spoke to so many other people as well. Chris Lambrianou, who was part of the career firm, he lived next door to Paul Sykes for about 3 years. I asked Charles Bronson before. Spoke to Eddie Richardson, who was in Hull with him. So many different people. As I said, I've got, the books are done. 3 books are done. There's no more books coming, certainly from me. The film has been signed by Western Edge Pictures. That was signed in July 2017. It is the very next thing to do on Western Edge Pictures' agenda. You can have a look at the Western Edge Pictures website. And that's just the fact. That is just, wrapping everything up 100%. As I said, I have no reason to lie. As I said, never met him, never even heard of him till over 5 years by he'd been dead. And, I'm just giving you the facts. There's a lot of bullshitters, fantasists on YouTube who say a lot of things in spite, and it gets some views. But I wanted to just put that out there on a basis of reality, actual facts. As I said, that was the opinions and basically the offerings to me on the former prison governor, and also the chief of West Yorkshire Police. And I spoke to so many other people as well. Your Peter Furies, who was in prison with him, and it's kind of just escalated. It's snowballed, if you like. I see so many people on the internet. Oh, he was a nonce and all this and that, and it's so easy to make lies upon the internet. Listen, he wasn't a very nice guy, let's be honest. But to drag a man's name through the mud and say all these things, could you keep something quiet like that? It doesn't matter if the hardest man in the world. Where was the charges? Where was he was scared and people want to keep it quiet. He raped all these people and that. Absolute utter nonsense. So that's just my take on things with actual facts. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments below. And that's just a reality check of figures in authority. And that's what they told me. John Spencer said to me as well. He said, he said that he was never shy in. Delroy Shower said to me, said it was not something that he kind of broadcasted, but John had many kind of bees of him, and he would openly admit, he said, that's just what I did to pass the time. Certainly not for me, not for a lot of other people, but that's just what happened. And a lot of utter nonsense, farcical, tall stories on the internet, and nothing. There's just no proof. There's just no, in actual fact, no reality of any kind of stories like that I have come across. And I think if you have a look at Further Agony, the second book I did, I interviewed a police officer there as well. I kept his name quiet because he's actually still an officer, and he said the same. So as I said, I've spoke to quite a few figures in authority, and nothing has ever materialised of any kind of sinister stories like that regarding the life and times of Paul Sykes.